Let this be a warning for everybody watching this video. You might get very freaking triggered, okay? Men or women included, both. Now let's get to the video.
So I just heard some bad news from a good friend of the family here. And I'm not going to say his name. I'm going to call him Tom. His name's not Tom, but we'll call him Tom. So Tom's been married for like 25 years. Him and his wife are what I would consider to be perfect. As close to perfect as I've ever seen. Both of them make great money. Him and his wife both, like I said, been together 25 years. Happy, healthy, always laughing, always smiling. They took trips all the time. They did this together, did that together. Everything seemed great. And just recently, out of nowhere, she took off. She's been seeing somebody else. She divorced him. She crushed him. I've never seen him. Tom is literally one of the most happy-go-lucky, always cracking jokes, always making everybody smile kind of guys. Now, he's a union steam fitter. He has been for a long time. He makes really good money, and he's got some rental properties, and he's really good with money. So financially, he's always been set. Maybe not always been set, but he's put himself in a good position. He said that out of nowhere, I don't know what it is, but she took off. I would never expected that to happen. He's crushed, and she is right now, like as he told me, living it up with some new lover boy after 25 years, like nothing even happened. And it got me thinking about something. Hearing this news all the time, especially from somebody that, like I said, I would never have guessed this would have happened. They seemed super healthy, super happy, but I guess it just doesn't matter.
So from everything that you've seen, I've heard so far, we don't know anything. We don't know shite. He could have been the most horrible freaking guy, or the best guy, but the worst pushover, which still makes him freaking horrible, at least for his own sake, right? If something looks very, perfect and everything on the surface, and he mentioned she always says smiling and stuff, listen, I'm sorry, but if someone is always all positive and smiley and all this stuff around you, like always, all the time, there's something very sus going on. Okay, I get it. He says, I've been friends with this guy since forever. I know this guy. I know he's not this kind of a guy. I know there's no reason for her to leave him and all this stuff because he's amazing. He's been working, he's healthy and stuff. Listen, we don't know anything. Just because you knew your friend, and I know my friends. I know my friends a lot, like brothers and sisters. But most people don't act the same way around their family, around their friends, and around their, partner. And you can't really be the judge of everything that happened. 25 years, everything that happened, it could have been anything. Like, this guy is making it seem like she is the worst person possible. Like, again, we don't know. She might be 100% in the wrong. Like, I'm not saying that he is not right, he's not correct. I'm saying that we don't know. And he is way too sure because he's biased. It's his friend. And I get it. We would all want to support and fight for our friends.
This made me think, this morning I've been thinking to myself, at what point, like we've talked about many times on this channel, at what point are men going to start saying, you know what? I'm just worried about my own happiness from here on out. At what point is that going to happen? Because it's still not happening. You hear a lot of people say, oh, men do the same kind of thing. No, they don't. They don't. As a society, that's not true. As a society, we have men that still try to uphold a certain image, a certain type of behavior, certain accountability, and the women in our society have changed drastically. I don't think drastically or dramatically, I don't think those words even sum it up enough. Those are understatements. And even in my videos that I've made in the last couple weeks, I've gotten lots of trad cons that comment or message me, give me the same spiel as always. As a man, you're this, and as a man, you shouldn't encourage that behavior. Dude, shut up. But all you trad cons that always comment this bullshit on my videos, you need to understand something. You guys are in love with the fantasy of Leave It to Beaver and the Wonder Years, like I've said before. That shit's dead and gone. Leave It to Beaver is not coming back.
I mean, listen, I get it. It's easy to make jokes of this stuff, of this guy. I don't really want to make jokes of this guy. But listen, saying that these kinds of women don't really exist anymore, and it's all double standards and all this stuff, and traditional men that want to, uphold themselves to a degree, be loyal and stuff, be a gentleman and all this stuff, exist, and obviously they do, even though, a lot of women say, they don't, old men are a piece of shit. And now you're saying the same thing, but you're just, you just reverse the role. Men are all these gentlemen and stuff, but women, they're all trash. They just can't respect men. They can't, stay with a loyal, nice, good man that's for them. They just want fun. They just want... Listen, bad men and bad women exist, obviously. And let's say your friend is actually on the good side. Let's say, you're 100% certain and somehow, we all know that she was the bad one. She was the one that, cheated and did all this stuff. And privately, all these 25 years, nothing happened between them. Everything, all of the tea has been spilled. Still, if all of that was true and your friend was the one on the right side, what are you trying to say with all this? We should hate all women? This is the message I'm getting. And if you're trying to say that, it's only about how she feels and not how he feels, all this stuff, listen, if that's all the women you have found, if that's all the women you have seen on social media, and what your friend has found, that's probably the type of women you guys have attracted. That's it. I wish the best for this guy. I don't want to make fun of him and his friend. So far, everything that he said is making me think that he thinks that every single woman is like this. He's 100% certain that, his friend is on the right side, as there's nothing wrong. He knows everything. You can't judge a 25-year relationship that you've never been involved in. Okay, you can't.
You guys are in love with the fantasy of Leave It to Beaver and the Wonder Years, like I've said before. That shit's dead and gone. Leave It to Beaver isn't coming back. Those women do not exist anymore. And the ones that do exist are fake. They are faking it. They're acting a certain way to get something. At what point do men like my friend Tom, who worked their ass off in the union since he was... I mean, he's in his 50s right now, and he's been a union steam fitter since he was early 20s, I guess. I think it is. Literally never missed a day of work. I know he's spent a lot of money on her. He's done a lot with her, bought her a lot of stuff. In fact, she had a kid from a previous man before him, and he's gone out of his way to take care of that kid. At what point do we just start saying it's acceptable for men to just give the finger to dating and marriage and just be selfish and do whatever they want?
Yep, I was right. That was exactly what he wanted to say. That traditional wives are dead and there's nothing such as loyal traditional wives and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. Listen, man, I get it. You're overly emotional and you need to chill out a little bit. I get it. You're upset. You're acting like you know everything about his relationship. Everything he said about Leave It to the Beaver, I searched it up. That's like an old TV show. I'm guessing it's a TV show with traditional wives. And that's why he's mentioning so many times. And he just keeps praising and praising and praising his friend. He mentioned, hey, he took care of her kid, which is a whole other story I'll get into. He worked his ass off. He traveled with her, spent a lot of money on her. Listen, man, everything you said is something that sounds exactly like a woman would use a man for. Now, I'm not saying that this guy was a pushover, your friend. And I'm not saying that he will, did everything just, have the girl and all this stuff. But if that's the case, and if he let her push him to the brink and still continue with her for 25 years, maybe he was a pushover and 25 years? So she had a kid before him. Well, does that mean that she had a kid before they met and got married? Which would mean that, number one, she had a kid when she was very, very young, probably was irresponsible and had the kid unplanned. I hope not. And secondly, if they've been together for 25 years and she has a kid from a previous boyfriend, doesn't that mean that the kid is 25 years plus? So what if this girl just used this guy, so hey, this guy is financially stable, this guy is, mentally stable and physically stable and all this stuff, let's use this guy for him to raise my child, and after my child is old enough, I can just fuck off and do whatever. Just my guess, right? Again, we don't know. This whole situation might have been because of both parties acting like shite, not just one. And maybe he's just horrible at reading the situation, allowed himself to, you know, be with someone who's not good for him, even though he thought it was good for him. Maybe he's not a pushover. Maybe he can't read situations. He can't read the room. Doesn't understand the human psyche as well. People are this way. They just end up in relationships and unknowingly with someone who's very, very bad for them.
At what point as a society do we just say, you know what, guys, just chase your money, just chase your fitness and your health and stuff, and just get hookers. Just buy these young, hot hookers, have your fun, and then do whatever you want with the bros the rest of the time. At what point does stuff like that start being acceptable? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm tired of seeing this one-way street, this two-tier system of accountability and this two-tier system of what's expected. Like, it's a laugh at this point. I see vulgar, trashy, garbage women out here that are still being treated better than like good, respectful, traditional men as a whole by society. I see 10 times as many people coming to the defense of the scummiest, trashiest, adult movie consuming and size queen filth and vulgarity and hookup women that are consumed by that garbage. I see 10 times more people coming to their defense as the ones even giving respect to like good, respectful men. I can't believe as men, there's still so many of us trying to be like respectful and relatively traditional and wanting the family structure. And I know a lot of people are holding out hope for that because we're thinking long-term, the bigger image of society, and we can't let society fall. This is what's best for people. But I'm telling you guys right now, this is a losing battle.
I'm not gonna lie, everything he said right here hit freaking hard. First off, the first thing he said, why don't we make it positive and normal to men to just chase the gym and money and just hook up and whores and all this stuff and to never marry and have kids? Well, because the human race would go extinct and it's scientifically proven that all that stuff will not make someone happy long term. So that's a part that I disagree for obvious reasons, and I don't want to believe that that's what he actually liked. The way he said it, you can see that he doesn't want the world to end up like this, like just men caring about hookups and the money and never marrying and never having kids and all this stuff because all these women are trash. It's obvious that he doesn't want all this stuff. But everything he said, that why are there so many people, men and women, just always protecting the girl, even though all these girls end up being the trashiest, most like disrespectful pies of shite women out there, and it's never the men that are protecting all this stuff. 2 points. The first point, which is reality, and as an adult, you already know this, okay? When it comes to the real world, the more attractive you are, the better people treat you. The more attractive you are, the more traditional good men, nice men that end up, being simps and doing everything for a good traditional girl who's very attractive. They just flock to this girl. They do everything for this girl, even though she is horrible for them, right? Horrible. They still do everything. And this in return makes very beautiful, very attractive women feel that they have all the power. They can do whatever the hell they want. They can manipulate every single man out there. And she's gonna use him, use his time, use his money, and all this stuff. And then at the end, she gets the respect. He doesn't get the respect. And everybody praises and protects her because obviously she's more attractive, and women are always going to be on the women's side, not most of the time when there's no other context involved that, the woman wasn't at fault, then women automatically are always going to choose the women's side. And a lot of men are going to also choose the women's side. You know why? Because she's attractive. This is why you got a lot of comments saying, oh, good for her, all this stuff. I'm not praising the guy or the woman. I don't know the whole situation. But that's why in your comments, all of this is happening. Please don't normalize never settling and just hooking up with every single person possible and just making money in gym. Gym and money, approve. But just hooking up for forever and never settling down and thinking that you're gonna be happy doing that for like the rest of your life, that's not gonna happen, okay?
This is another topic for another video, but even what most women consider to be attractive physically and emotionally and everything, that's changed drastically. I have seen women in street interviews call Chris Bumstead a 3 while calling Lil Peep, the rapper that passed away, a 9. If you call Chris Bumstead a 3 and rest in peace, Lil Peep, that rapper, a 9, I'm just going to throw my hands up and laugh. As a society, if this is what women are going to think, I don't know what to say anymore. I don't even know. We're in an upside down world. Is it too late? Do men need to actually wake up and start being more selfish? I know women like to say men are so selfish. No, they're not. No, they're not. The 1% of like super hunk guys that have as many women throwing themselves at them as even the ugliest of women do, yeah, they might be a little selfish. Not most decent men. Most men are not that selfish. Most men are still pretty respectable. Most men are still pretty traditional for no reason, because the women that they're seeking are not that in the slightest bit.
So I haven't really heard of Lil Peep. I just looked him up. I saw the way he looks. I gotta mention one thing. Both Lil Peep and Chris Bumstead are not a good example of how the normal average person looks. Lil Peep was all tatted all around his face, and Chris Bumstead is Chris freaking Bumstead. Like, he's huge, his physique is in the top 0.01% and all this stuff, and the average person doesn't even have the genetics to be 30% of what he is. So most women, I think, they would choose Chris Bumstead, even though most women would prefer someone who's, not as muscular and lean. Gym girls would prefer Chris, no doubt, but most, like 99% of girls, I don't think they would choose any of these guys as the, best one. But in general, I do believe Chris would be the chosen one. And why would this girl choose this guy? Number one, she was probably young. Number two, she probably had some internal connection with his music. Maybe some connection with him on the basis of, it says here online, he had depression, anxiety, and substance abuse, and maybe she relates to that stuff and makes her feel more attracted to this guy. So that comparison, you could have chosen a better comparison, man. But if we are looking at the bigger picture, yeah, when looks wise, standards are destroyed. Like what corn has done to people, young men, what social media has done to people, both young men and women, the internet by itself has done to people, standards, financial standards, but also physical standards are all over the place. I would recommend this girl, I forgot her name, Courtney Ryan, I think it was. She gives male dating advice, and she's also something to do with fashion, and she gives advice on how males to dress and all this stuff, particularly more for, adult guys, like 20s, 30s, 40s, and so on. Maybe she'll give you some hope in society that there's actual good women in the world still.
I would have never guessed that my friend Tom and his wife would end this way. Never. And it just goes to show, as men today, you're just never safe. Doesn't matter how charming you are. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care about all the bullshit everyone says. I don't care about any of that. Because the mentality of just this monster that we're feeding as a society with women is just, it's undefeated. It's becoming this overgrown monster. Times have changed drastically, and most men are not, either they're too dumb or they're just not willing to change. They want to hold on to hope. But at what point do men just say, you know what, F this?
There's some moral ground we need to cover here. So he's saying, when are men gonna stop enduring and just know when to stop and remove her or him from their life? Listen, there's something called loyalty. There's something called giving someone a second or maybe a third chance, depending on the situation, right? So, for example, some of my friends, if one of my friends ends up telling me, or I just find out, and he's, starting to use drugs, and somehow I missed it, he told me, or I just found out, I wouldn't just give up on him. Like a friend who has been my friend for my whole life, or half of my life, or a few years, I wouldn't just give up on him, or her, obviously. I would try to help him. I would tell him, hey, this, and this is not okay. You gotta change. I'm here to help you change. You need financial help? You need professional help for you to find you some professional help and all this stuff? Or maybe you need some friend to keep you accountable. I'm here. And I would try to help him. I would warn him multiple times. But eventually, if he continues and he ruins his life and could potentially, ruin my life, and I don't want to end up being associated with these kinds of people, well then, yeah, I'm going to end it. So in this situation, we don't know the whole situation. We don't know what was happening. He loved this girl, hopefully, right? And maybe he was that much of a pushover that, you know, he tried to give her so many chances and just gave her chances. And eventually she was like, you know what, I'm bored. Like, I need someone who's way more fun. This guy doesn't punish me enough. And even though I know, I can feel it, that this guy has the best intentions possible. Listen, man, you can be the best person possible. Like the bestest friend possible. The bestest employee possible. Like the most hardworking guy to like scale your business. The best dad possible. Everything, right? Does that mean that you deserve good things in life? No. You can tell a child all this stuff. Hey, you studied, you got an A, and now you deserve some candy. That's not how it works in real life as an adult. Life is all over the place. One day, someone from your close family or friends might die while everything was going crazy well. Or everything was going crazy horribly, and all of a sudden, you have found the love of your life. You gotta be more stoic in life. You gotta be more understanding that anything can happen. You gotta read situations, you gotta read people, you need more experience with different kinds of people. And no, I'm not saying that you have to have sex with 2,000 men and women, okay? I'm not like fresh and fit and all this dumbass stuff. All that I'm saying is, if you're not that socially experienced with different kinds of people, interacting with different kinds of people, men and women, and if you can read the room, tell if someone's, you know, lying, manipulating, and maybe you know, but you're allowing this person to do this stuff, like he is implying, like he is saying that his friend was the guy who was doing everything well and she was, you know, shite. But overall, I don't think this guy had any bad intentions. I know this video sounds horrible, and I know a lot of raging feminist women are gonna watch this video, watch my video, and think we're the worst people possible. And if you know, and you know what? If you think I'm the worst person possible and I'm hating on women and men or whatever, just never watch my channel, okay? If that's what you got out of this video. I hope your friend heals. I hope your friend finds someone who he can spend the rest of his life with. And please don't be this biased when it comes to your friends. Sometimes your friend is the bad guy. And in this situation, we really don't know. That's about it. Tell me what you guys think in the comments and have a nice day.